This is Dolany TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion. And oh my friends, I may be about 3, 4, 5, 6 months late to the party. But should the Oilers trade for Jack Roslovic of the Winnipeg Jets? Suddenly, why are we talking about this? Well, today we had a whole bunch of speculation coming out. What's going on with Roslovic? He's still in Columbus. He's a Winnipeg Jets unsigned RFA. He's holding out on them. Situation I fully don't understand, and I'm not going to claim to fully understand. I'll claim that the Oilers can probably capitalize here, but what I will claim is, well, you know what? He's still in Ohio. He's holding out, and now, a couple of minutes ago, about 40 minutes ago, he requested a trade. It's been made official via Pierre LeBrun on Twitter that he has requested a trade from the Winnipeg Jets. So with that, let's break it down and get to the nitty-gritty of something now that speculation probably a couple of months ago for Oilers fans on Twitter was running a little wild. Not fully wild, just a little bit wild. Well, now we can go out there and speculate quite a bit because you know what, right? We've got Devon Shore at training camp. Well, you know, Gaetas, who knows what's going on there. Jack Roslovic's a kind of center. Looks like he didn't play center all the time last year in 71 games. Only took a total of like 148 face-offs. So at 71 games, that's like 2 face-offs a game. Yeah, sure, he's got a 47% face-off rate, but that does not tell me in 14 minutes or whatever of ice time he's played that he's going out there and playing center every single shift. So let's go figure this out and put a piece together, and let's see if at the end of this I can tell you, should we or should we not look to take advantage of a terrible situation for the Winnipeg Jets and try and acquire somebody that could be of use in a limited capacity. But that's the thing, it looks like this guy's looking for a little bit more than a limited capacity by the looks of it. So let's break it down and get to it. Jack Roslovic, a first round pick by the Winnipeg Jets way back in 2015, the NHL entry draft, 25th overall from Columbus, Ohio. Ladies and gentlemen, what I always forget, I'm going to do this right now because I feel like this video could do something here on YouTube, is just if you're new to the channel, please consider in the next 8 minutes hitting that subscribe button. We talk all things Edmonton Oilers every single day. There are not 3 Oilers related jerseys plus a banner thing, plus those pictures here for nothing. Anyway, this is Stolen TV. I don't need to clown myself anymore. I already am a fool. Let's get to it. 71 games played last season for Jack Roslovic, 12 goals, 17 assists, 29 points. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that does not sound thrilling. The Oilers really don't need to trade for more of that, do they? They have enough guys that can do that. Well, let's go back to EdmontonOilers.com here for a minute and just kind of tell you who did that last year for the Oilers, because it's really kind of alarming. Not a lot of guys did. So playoffs, whole nother story. We need to get to the regular season. And the Oilers had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys in the lineup score more than 29 points last season, and count it 1, 2 of those 7 were defensemen. Yeah, that's what we're working with. Now, obviously, Kyle Turris, yes, Puljujarvi, Tyler Ennis for a full season. Like, yeah, okay. Suddenly, yeah, we're not talking about the Oilers super hurting Dominic Cahoon, Tyson Barrie. We're not talking about the Oilers out here hurting to find offense like potentially they were as bad as they were at times last year. No, I'm not talking that. But the fact is, 29 points, you can't just scoff at that and say not good enough, because last year that would have been dang good enough for the Edmonton Oilers. Now, the situation here is Jack Roslovic and the Winnipeg Jets. Things seem to be very sour. I don't know if it's a money thing. I honestly, quite honestly, don't know what the full situation is. Like I said, I'm not going to claim to know. But it's now turned to I request a trade. And as we know how this turned out with Jesse Puljujarvi is either you hold out, you go somewhere else, and you come back around a year later, or you end up traded. And as we all know, the values for Puljujarvi were up here. The values for Puljujarvi were down here. Nobody quite knew what to offer for Puljujarvi. And, of course, Ken Holland never liked what he got, obviously. That's why, yes, Puljujarvi's back in the lineup for the Oilers. So, for the Winnipeg Jets, well, they're kind of in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, if you know what I mean, right? Is they aren't going to sign this guy because he requested a trade, but at the same rate, welcome to the NHL trade market in late 2020. It's terrible. You aren't getting anything, and especially for a guy that realistically, right, realistically is not a top 6 player, is more of a depth guy, and unfortunately isn't a great centerman. Based on the face-off stats, based on everything, he's not a fantastic all-around player. He doesn't see power play time. He might be a great power play player, but even still, the Oilers aren't requiring him for that. So I don't imagine, right, too many teams are knocking on the door offering even a third-round pick right now for Roslovic after hearing this evening that he's on the trade block because he's requested a trade. So for the Oilers, let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, I've spent 6 minutes opening this video up. Let's get to it. Can the Oilers take advantage of this? Heck yeah, the Oilers can take advantage of this. Do I want the Oilers to take advantage of this? Well, I'm not exactly sure. Jack Roslovic, apparently according to Twitter, a lot of Oilers fans want this guy. He's a right-hand shot centerman, so even if you give him that fourth line time that, yeah, Gaetan is supposed to get this year. Oh, you give him some third line time where Kyle Turris is supposed to get because Kyle Turris maybe falters a little bit at times in a 56-game season. This is a guy capable of producing in a third line role by the looks of it. Well, suddenly, yeah, great dandy. And for the Oilers, you might ask, well, he's an RFA. He still needs a contract. Unfortunately, you walk yourself into this corner. You might be looking for a payday, but as we know, right now, ain't nobody getting a payday in the NHL. So Jack Roslovic, he would have to be happy just getting out of Winnipeg. And if he gets out of Winnipeg, that's the victory in and of itself. The contract's going to be tiny. All right, I can't imagine any world where a team trades for this guy and gives him more than $1.2 million. I'm pulling that number because I saw it yesterday with Athanasiou. But right, I don't see this where he's just holding out, demanding a trade, and then all of a sudden getting a $3 million payday. There's not a team in the NHL that has that capability. Even technically speaking, the Oilers at best do not have that cap capability. They have maybe to go as far north as 2.2 if the math works out on the Ethan Bear deal and all the situation. And if you've had time to play around with Puckpedia and can explain it to me how to maximize the Oilers LTIR pool, please do. But as it currently stands, no matter who the Oilers sign next, if they sign anyone next, they do not have the cap capability. And even still, all right, fine and dandy. You give the Winnipeg Jets a cap player. You give them somebody against the cap. Well, a Jujhar Khaira, an Alex Chiasson, whatever you want to take off your hands to go to Winnipeg. And the reason this all makes sense is, yeah, it's within the Canadian division. And if Winnipeg's given up an asset, they'd like to have that asset, bang, there as soon as possible. And within the Canadian division does make perfect sense. There's no quarantines across the borders and stuff as training camps get going. So that's great for Winnipeg. And that's where I think the Oilers really stand a chance to capitalize on a guy that could be pretty solid for them moving into the future, whether it be on the wing or at center or wherever Jack Roslovic fits. But the fact is, the Oilers, as a Canadian team, probably one of the stronger contenders if interested in Jack Roslovic, just simply because they're a Canadian team. I mean, they could have the worst offer in the Canadian division, and they're probably still a stronger contender than half the American teams. Is what it is, right? That's the reality we're living in. But at the end of the day, is this a situation where the Oilers go dump Jujhar Khaira and just pay Jack Roslovic 1.2? Are you upgrading? Points-wise, yeah. Face-off-wise, everything else-wise, depends on what Jujhar Khaira shows up to which game. But, right, this is something just worth talking about. Now that, yes, I've noted that it was something during the first bit of the offseason. Now we're in the late offseason. And, yeah, it's something coming back around again. So I thought I'd jump out ahead of it, get you discussing it before any of the major newspapers and YouTube videos and stuff are coming out discussing it. And maybe yet this one will hit for me and away we go. I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, I have had a scrambly day. If you can't tell, I'm all scrambled up. I mean, some of you are very good at telling when I'm all scrambled up, and some of you just wonder who the crazy guy on YouTube is. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's me, Tyson, here on Dolany TV. As always, hit that comment section. I might not fully reply, but I mean, the content's always gold down there. I am up on out of here.